Hello everybody, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. This is Ole Gamer Joe here with another review for you today. We're looking at Umihara Kawase BaZooKa on the PlayStation 4, also available on the Nintendo Switch. The game is currently priced at $29.99, available as of October 30th of 2020. Do note that the PlayStation Store link was not available at the time of this review, so that price could be different. I don't imagine it will be, but it's a possibility. This is an arcade party-style game with up to 4 players. So, I didn't know a whole lot about this series, if I'm being real with you. Umihara Kawase has apparently been around for a long time, however, originally debuting as a platformer on the Super Famicom back in 1994. There was another game in 97, and then it was all the way till 2013 when the series came back. 2019 had another game, and now 2020 brings Umihara Kawase BaZooKa, which is an entirely different game based on the little bit I've learned about the series. Alright, so what is Umihara Kawase BaZooKa? Well, again, it is sort of an arcade-style game where the goal is to actually clear different rooms of enemies, but the way you clear those enemies out is kind of different from other games in the fact that you can actually reel enemies in using a fishing pole and then shoot them out with a bazooka. You could almost think of it as sort of a cross between Dig Dug and Bubble Bobble, somewhere in between there. If you mix those two games, if they had a baby, maybe you would get this one. Umihara Kawase BaZooKa features over 20 characters, and they all do feel a little bit different from one another, as not only can their speed and the amount of damage that they take differentiate from one another, they also have special attacks that they can use with the L1 button. As far as actual gameplay modes go, you have a few selections here. There's the challenge mode, which you can go through single player if you so wish, though I don't really recommend it as that's not the fun way to play this game. And the goal with that is simple. You're trying to clear one stage after another and collect coins in order to advance to the next stage. There's a set number of coins that need to be collected, and these are collected by defeating all of the enemies, of course. Fear not, you can do these challenges with friends if you so wish, and there's also a battle mode for up to 4 players where you can compete against one another, and it actually has an online feature as well, so you can play it that way. In total, though, the game features 4 different worlds with 9 levels and a boss at the end of each of those worlds. There's a decent variety of enemies in each level here. Some of them can simply be reeled in with your fishing hook and then blasted out in order to create a chain combo against other enemies, or you can also double jump on enemies. In fact, some of them will require you to do so. Boss characters might require a little bit more strategy as you need to stay attached to them with your fishing hook as long as possible in order to stun them, and then you can unleash more attacks that way and do bigger damage. If I am being honest with you, the controls will take a little bit of getting used to here, but eventually I was feeling quite comfortable with them. It's not a complex game, it just seems like there's a little bit more to it than there actually is at first. I will say my least favorite enemies to deal with were the ones that needed to be double jumped on because the hitbox window is really strange on the double jump, and if you don't perform it correctly, you're going to take damage yourself. You do have 3 lives in this game, and it's game over if you run out, of course, but it's not a huge deal. You do pick up from where you left off, at least in terms of the level that you were on. You'll start at the beginning of that level, but you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of a world. Overall, I started playing this game initially single player, and it's not as fun that way, to be honest with you. If you are going to pick this one up, definitely have some friends to play with, or look into playing it online, because it's a lot more fun, actually, when you get another person involved. Initially, I wasn't a big fan of the gameplay, but when I had another person in the room with me, it actually all came together and was a bit more entertaining. As far as the graphics go, Umihara Kawase BaZooKa is not a bad-looking game. It's certainly cute and colorful. There's not a ton of detail into the environments. The enemies are a little bit weird-looking, definitely an anime aesthetic used here. It's not terrible-looking, though. There are some environmental hazards that kind of add a little spice to things, like spikes or water in certain levels. The soundtrack, on the other hand, though, is really cute, very upbeat, quirky, as you might expect to go along with the aesthetic. I really enjoyed it, actually. There's some really infectious tunes here. They go along well with the gameplay. The sound effects are not bad, actually. Your characters will make different cute little noises when they shoot out their bazooka. Whether you're unleashing your fishing pole into an enemy or you're entering a stunned phase where you can't move for a little bit of time, it all sounds pretty adorable. Like I mentioned earlier in this review, I wasn't a big fan of this gameplay at first, but once I got into it, especially with a friend, I started to appreciate the game a little bit more. It's not going to blow your mind. It's a very simplistic game underneath the surface, which can be a bit daunting, but eventually you're bouncing around rooms, you're strategically trying to get behind enemies. I think it's nice that you can play the game with up to 4 players, and they went as far as including leaderboards and online play, so I can definitely appreciate that. Each character does feel different from one another with their own special move. The gameplay is fun once you get into it, but it is ultimately a short game to go through, and it will get a little bit old, so the replay value here is going to come from you playing against your friends. I do think the asking price is a little bit high here at $29.99, but there is some entertainment value to be had. So will you be checking out Umihara Kawase BaZooKa? Let us know in the comments section below, and if you have enjoyed our video coverage today, consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps us to bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. There are a ton of other ways that you can support I Dream of Indie right down in the description box below. That includes becoming a channel member, checking out our merchandise store, hitting us up on Twitter. However you end up supporting us, it means the world. We thank you so much.